Hi, it's Ronit. And with my partner in crime, Gaurav, we are your hosts. Thanks to CFTE for producing this podcast. We're going to be discussing Web3, technology, fintech, and much more with a lens on Korea. And I have two really cool guests with me. One is can I call you a friend now, Andrew? We've known each other for long enough.
Yeah, of course.
We're an in real life friend as well as online friend. Delighted to have Andrew with me, zooming in from Seoul today. And along with Andrew, we've got still an online friend, not yet an in real person.
When do I get an upgrade?
I don't know, Jee. When are you coming to Dubai?
Okay.
Well, you're not posting enough memes, on the chat room. You gotta put memes.
My bad. I know.
Soon, Jee. Soon.
All right.
Very soon. I'm sure I'll make it to Seoul at some point if you don't make it to Dubai. But why don't you guys introduce yourselves rather than me read out your LinkedIn or Twitter bios? I think you can do it better. So let's start with Jee. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'll give you a short version first, and then when we get a little bit more, into like our backgrounds and stuff, I'll go on a little bit more. I'm the founder and CEO of a boutique consulting company called Common Hour Media, based in Washington, D.C. But right now I'm based in Seoul, and I'm trying to expand a little bit more of the Korea operations. And one of the goal in South Korea is to have a content generating pillar of the business focus on artificial intelligence. And that's how I met Andrew, who is not only my trusted advisor on anything blockchain related, but also my neighbor.
So
Andrew, you want to take it away?
Take it away, neighbor.
Sure. My name is Andrew Chung. I'm the CFO of Burrito Wallet. Burrito Wallet is basically this non-custodial Web3 wallet that supports multi-chain, and it's based in Korea. It's travel rule compliant, and so basically we serve our major shareholder, which is Bitom. So our users can, Bitom users can go into Web3 and back and forth without having to go through the process of KYC and AML, making it smoother and easier to transition into the Web3.
So, Andrew, just unpack that a bit more for the audience who are not crypto native. You said non-custodial wallet, right?
Right.
What is a non-custodial wallet?
Well, basically, we don't hold custody of the user's private keys. It all belongs to the users. So basically, we're just providing this infrastructure for the user to keep track of their tokens, but then it all belongs to them. As of that's really big difference from custodial wallets, which is what it's offered by default at central exchanges. And as you all remember, with the recent FTX crisis, when the user's assets are in these custodial wallets, there's the risk of potential default.
Right. So you're providing a digital solution that your users are using to store their crypto, to keep. Of
course. So through these wallets, basically, users can trade through decentralized exchanges. But the biggest goal of this wallet is basically to be the gateway into the Web3. Basically, what we're expecting right now is that within years from now, pretty soon, people are gonna need to have ownership of their digital assets. Like, say, for example, whenever they're playing a game and they buy an item for the game, the moment they get tired of playing this game, they want to have the power to sell or trade this item Also, if say the game server crashes, then they want to still keep whatever assets they had for this game in their pockets. Same thing for social media. Also, something that we're expecting to take place within a short period from now is the implementation of digital IDs, and as well as central bank currencies, which will be all in the blockchain. And so basically users will be needing a placeholder to keep their assets, and that's basically what we're trying to provide.
Got it. And Andrew, tell us a little bit, sort of zooming out, how did you get involved in the technology world? And what sort of attracted you to blockchain in particular, but how did you get involved in this whole domain?
Okay, I think this all goes back into the .com days. That's when like internet started first popping out, and around that time I graduated from high school, and there was all this hype about internet, and that becoming the next thing. I went to the States. I got admitted into the University of Texas at Austin, which had one of the best computer science programs. I started majoring in it. I noticed that I wasn't that good at programming. I was still a fan of internet. And I started double majoring in economics, and then right after I graduated from college, that's when the .com crash happened. I couldn't find any work as in IT. A lot of these .com darlings were basically burning down. And so eventually I ended up working in finance. I started working in real estate consulting. And then after that, I moved into M&A advisory. From there, I was working in corporate finance as well as private equity. And then in the end, I moved to BlackBerry Korea. I was working as their CFO, and around that time, that's when I got tapped at Bithumb, because Bithumb was trying to work on the STOs, security tokens. That was in 2018. So it made a lot of sense to basically tokenize securities, especially given that usually whenever you're buying or selling stocks or any other securities, they have to go through a clearance house, and that takes time to clear up and get your funds back. So with by having a security within a blockchain, it made a lot of sense, and that's what basically got me interested in getting into the blockchain space.
Got it. And Jee, the same question to you. How did you get involved in the technology space? And specifically, you mentioned an interest in AI. So if you could just zoom in on that a bit, please.
Sure. So I started my career as a TV journalist and in Seoul and Washington, DC. And it wasn't until that I started covering North Korea's crypto activities to bypass international sanctions that I got really interested in cryptocurrency. Basically, North Korea uses cryptocurrency to basically just finance their illegal activities, especially when it comes to weapons manufacturing. So because of that, I guess I got some type of a publicity in the crypto world, and I got invited to speak at a crypto event in Singapore. And when I went there, a few companies approached me to become their communications director, which was entirely new to me because I've only known the world of journalism. But I thought, I've never taken a sabbatical, and this person is offering me a all expenses paid trip to Italy, so I might as well go and check it out. I went, and the company was at a 14th century cascina in Piedmont, and I was really interested in what they do as an AI company. So I worked as their communications director for the AI company, which also incorporated cryptocurrency. And after that, I got really interested in helping other AI companies around the world have exposure. So I decided to create this boutique firm. And since then, I have had some exclusive contract with Korean journalism outlets. And yeah, that's why I decided to stay in Korea for a little bit longer than I had expected. So that's the short story. Mm-hmm.
And Jee, we'd love to hear your thoughts on the ecosystem in Korea in particular, as you've covered it as a journalist, now as a consultant. Korea in many ways, whether it's the number of crypto users, whether it's the number of gamers, there was the adoption of 5G and then maybe next 6G. Korea in many ways seems to be ahead of lots of the rest of the world, both in terms of the hardware infrastructure and also on the software side and the content side. Share your thoughts or share your experience and knowledge of this. Why is Korea seemingly in this kind of advanced position today compared to, say, previous waves of technology or media in the past 20, 30 years? What's going on? What's in the soup? What's in the kimchi?
What's in the kimchi? What's behind the kimchi premium, let's say. So Korea is a peninsula, but I think we have to look into the geography a little bit more. So it's a peninsula, but it actually works like an island because it's surrounded by the sea and it's bordering a country that's it's at a war against. So it works like a little island and has very, very high security kind of incentives. And that's why a lot of the homegrown companies do really well, because they have very little competition because of the way the country is built, that outside companies are a little bit difficult, feel a little bit difficult to enter the company. And if I may, do we have time for me to go into some of the numbers?
Go for it. Absolutely.
So Naver, some of the big tech giants in South Korea are Naver and Kakao. And Naver is actually the most famous for its namesake search engine. If we go to last year, May 2022, the monthly active user of Naver was 63% of the entire search engine market in South Korea, and Google followed behind with just 26%, and Taum, which is owned by Kakao, 5.8%, and Microsoft Bing at less than 2%. But fast forward to last month, which was May 2023, Naver actually took only 56% of the market share, Google 35%, Taum 5%, Microsoft Bing at around 2%. So what's notable is that Naver's market share continues to decline at the same time that ChatGPT and other AI developments have been very active. So the Naver's market share fell 7.4 percentage points, while Google's went up by 8.4 percentage points. And the most interesting thing I thought was that Bing's market share went by almost 1 percentage point. Again, thanks to ChatGPT things. So a lot of the homegrown companies, they enjoy the particular South Korean business environment because of the fact that it's at a war still and it has a very specific demographic. But with the invention of AI and with the development of generative AI, things are changing.
And Jee, how do you see generative AI over the next 1 to 2 years changing the Korean tech landscape?
I think this trend will likely continue, that it will become more global as opposed to Korea kind of enjoying some of the island-like qualities, because more people are using these services in English. And with the AI adoption and with translation and interpretation becoming more widely available, I think this trend is likely to continue. And that's the likely landscape. However, it could change because Naver is investing a lot into its hyperscale AI called Clova. So that could be one of the kind of things that could change the overall trajectory. But if all goes as planned, it will probably be that Naver will continue to lose the home ground advantages, and Google and maybe Microsoft Bing will continue to have bigger market share going forward.
Andrew, can I ask you the same question? And it's not really a crypto or blockchain question, but you can weave that in as well if you want to. But explain to the viewer, most of whom are not based in Korea, most of whom are based in the UK or the Middle East or the US or India. That's where our audience is largely based. What's in the water? What's in there?
So, I'm just gonna speak from a really macro level. Basically, Korea is the land of the too much or too little, but nothing in the middle. We go from one extreme to another. This is the reason why you get to see, this kimchi premium during bull runs, or you get to see major crashes, stellar crashes like Terra, all of these other platforms. So yeah, I mean, there's no in the middle. And that's mostly because our culture is very focused on moving fast, on pali. If you look at our geography, we're basically, ever since we are since our existence for thousands of years, we've been surrounded by major empires like China, the Mongols, the Manchus, the Japanese Empire, then the Russians, and right now we're sandwiched by all of the major superpowers: Russia, China, Japan, and then US. And so we always gotta move fast. And so that's why whenever there's any new trends, any new technologies, we move fast, and we implement it, we adopt them, and yeah, that's how we move on. Also, there's this really strong cultural collectivity. So Koreans tend to be a lot more collective than most of their Asian peers. So, if one trend starts to take place, then basically everybody follows. So this has been, the biggest trigger that makes, a technological adoption take place extremely quick. So basically, that's what happened during the internet age. The government implemented the broadband infrastructure, and then this gave extremely fast rise of social media, e-commerce, esports. Back in 1999, when Korea first came up with this esports online. I remember seeing articles on ESPN, mocking about this trend, and being all geeky, and fast forward almost 3 decades from now, and this is actually taking place globally. Same thing with social media adoption. So yeah, I mean,
you touched upon esports, where Korea dominates, and 20, 30 years ago was seen as a geeky niche pursuit. Are there other areas where today, if you're a US or European-based observer, you'd be like, that's weird, that's just silly, or that's just something that only happens in Korea, and will actually take over the world in 10 years' time? Or I guess everything is moving much faster now, so maybe it's in 5 years' time or 3 years' time. So what are you guys doing in Korea? What are you cooking up that we're all going to be doing in 3 years' time?
Okay, so
should I be asking my 9-year-old son?
Everyone was bullish on the metaverse in global markets, but then after Meta came up with their platform, it just seems like the hype died down. Not so much here in Korea.
Those legless avatars never really took off, did they?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure if they would have made it in a console platform, it could have done a little bit better.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it will improve a lot. But yeah, I mean, Korea is still moving forward with the metaverse. A lot of major gaming companies are still pushing forward with it. Come to us, which is the one of the largest game developers and publishers, is still moving forward with their Comtuverse Metaverse Cyworld, which was defunct. It used to be Korea's #1 social media network since 1999. Somehow, after Facebook and Instagram came out, it lost a lot of their user base, and it came out again right now. It's basically using the blockchain, as well as it's going to implement Metaverse for people to move in from one page to another and visit other friends' pages and interact with them. So yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of interesting projects moving along in this side. That's not as trendy anymore.
So gaming and social, you're saying in Korea is still very much involved in the metaverse. And by metaverse, you mean what exactly? Like 3D spaces?
Yeah, basically a combination of AR or sometimes even VR. Right now, to be honest, is still it still looks exactly like the type of metaverse from a decade ago. I think it was a Second Life that first was one of the pioneers in this space. So it still looks like a computer game, but I'm pretty sure once there's more infrastructure built up to support more data transmission, then we're going to see more developments taking place in the AR as well as VR form of metaverse.
Right. And also in music, right? I mean, we've been joking this year about all your computer-generated K-pop girls now. Maybe we should get Jee into the conversation. Jee, what do you think is happening now in Korea that we'll be doing in the rest of the world? Are we all going to be basically, I mean, is Gaurav now going to be tracking code-generated K-pop girls? I mean, what's the like?
Well, yeah, actually, it ties well into what we were talking about earlier, what Andrew brought out. So Naver, the tech giant that I mentioned, it has one of the most successful metaverse platforms in the world called Zepeto.
Zepeto.
P-E-T-O.
Zepeto.
And of course, millennials and Gen Zs, we don't really understand what what it's really about, but it's really interesting. There is a lady who designs clothes for Zepeto avatars. She's now a millionaire and a social media celebrity. And a lot of the girls who are maybe in the elementary school, actually girls and boys, they just talk to each other on Zepeto. And for birthdays, they want the cryptocurrency to trade on Zepeto to be able to buy these outfits, because for them, it's more important to look good on Zepeto than in real life. And would you believe Gucci also had a collaboration with Zepeto?
Really?
And Ralph Lauren also.
Wow.
Yes, they are making clothes specifically to look good on these social media platforms. And Chinese customers are actually the biggest customers of Zepeto. But of course, it's very popular in Thailand, in Korea, and in Japan. I actually tried to, kind of experience it myself. It was really difficult because if you're not fast enough, if you don't know the children's lingo, they're pretty cruel. They just leave you in the room by yourself, even though you socialize with them. So they already know without you having to tell them that you're an old person. So, but yeah, I think these growth.
So they think you're old. Wow, what would they think about us, Gaurav?
I don't know. You should go in and check it out yourself.
Oh yeah.
I had to say,
there we are, Zepeto. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can dance.
You should also try Island by SK Telecom.
Like, what's the average age of a Zepeto user?
I wouldn't know, but I would imagine.
Like 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds?
Probably elementary school.
Yeah, probably.
Elementary school. 8-year-olds.
Right, or even younger.
Even younger than 8.
But actually, maybe not, because another collaboration they had that I remember covering was a convenience store. So a lot of the times, a South Korean convenience store, this one was CU, they opened their specific location in the metaverse. The advantage is a lot of the people who enjoy like South Korean culture and aesthetics, they will check out the Zepeto convenience store and buy the cyber, Korean corn dogs or Korean tteokbokki, Korean ramen at these convenience stores. And it's a good way for them to kind of test out what the interest is before they venture into the Southeast Asian market. So yeah, CU is actually pretty popular in Malaysia, where I used to live. So that makes sense, yeah.
Awesome. I think we're gonna have like an expert tell us about Zepeto now, right? Hello, what's your name?
Her mom doesn't let her spend too much time with the iPad or telephone.
Well, I'm looking at the Zepeto website and it says that officially you got to be 13 years old to be on there. So clearly there's going to be there's a lot of people who are, or maybe this is the English language one. I don't know. Well, it's obviously the English language one I'm on, but it says you have to be 13 to be on there.
Yeah, I would say like maybe early teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The times that I've used Zepeto, they definitely sounded like I don't know, elementary school kids or maybe middle school, but they sounded very little.
I hope that was because you were with your daughter on the platform, Andrew. I'm not going to get any further. I'm paging your wife right now to keep you. So I'm reading the Zepeto app description. It says, imagine a cute character of yourself. It would be cuter than your imagination. Take a picture, bring it to the gallery. Zepeto will make a character of you. Okay. Should we do it? What do you think? Should we do it, Gaurav? In fact, on that, I think that's going to be the segue to Gaurav taking over for the second half of this podcast. So what do you think, Gaurav? Should we create a cute character of you?
I think I've been keeping quiet, much to my own amusement and safety. I think plausible deniability from silence is like pleading the fifth without being asked a question. It's been fantastic. So I think we should download it for the sake of research.
Yeah. So tell us about these K-pop girls, Gaurav, that you're into.
Oh, wow. I don't know where that came from, but I'll follow your lead, Ronit, or maybe Andrew.
Andrew's been telling you all about Maeve, right? Is that right, Andrew? Maeve?
Yeah, Maeve, and I forgot the name of that other band. So one is fully created in Scratch through computer graphics, and
Maeve
then the other one.
Maeve is code native.
Yeah. Wow. But they're both actually quite good, quite realistic.
Right.
More research. More research for us.
You haven't done this research already, Gaurav? I'll share my earlier research with you then.
I think I have to go to Korea to do in-person research, even if it's in the digital metaverse or web spaces or anything else, because what's really astounding from this whole conversation I'm hearing and taking away from this is adoption of tech is much faster in Korea. It's adoption, and this is what I love, right? Is adoption, because Ronit, you've been unpacking this story with Andrew and Jee, on this, and it's wonderful. My brain's been just wondering where the business is. Where's the business? And how did it get built? So guys, what I want to do is I want to understand these two things: is how did you build it, and where's the business? Because if adoption is happening and it's discovery is happening at this rate, surely there must be a lot of competition as well, right? Because if there's a digital market and you have to stay ahead of everything, not only just in your native market where adoption is so rife, you have to be, there must be so many competitors. So Andrew, I want to start with you first. Is how did you start building Burrito Wallet? Because nobody wakes up one day and goes, you know what? I woke up on the left side of the bed today. I opened up my book of affirmations and it said, build a wallet. And you know what? I'm going to go out and build a wallet. Nobody does that, right? So there's a story there. If you can walk us through, right? And you with your co-host, who I'm sure also has a good way of telling this story. How did it come to be Burrito Wallet, and what is it? Walk us through the journey. Just how did it happen, and what is it today?
Okay, so basically, the reason why we decided to get into the wallet, it was mostly because we started seeing all of these major corporations in Korea. It wasn't, just little startups, but all of the major ones like Naver, Kakao, all of the major gamers such as Wemix, as well as Come to Us. Such and such, they all started adopting the blockchain, mostly because for the gamers it just makes so much sense to have adopt their games on the blockchain and allow the gamers to have ownership of their game items. At the same time, it allows users to keep whatever credits they need to purchase these assets for themselves. And also it lowers a lot of the transaction fees that all of these intermediary companies take. Yeah, exactly. So
just for context for our listeners, how many years ago did you start doing this for, and how big is the gamer space? How many users in the space of digital gaming out there, and how much money flows through this every year?
So Korea is actually quite large in terms of I don't have the
roughly
actual figures right now, but it's one of the most dominant in the space of RPGs and MMORPGs. So basically all of these computer games that are played on the internet with multiple users, this is where Korea dominates a lot. It has a lot of user base from well, it used to be China before, not anymore because of the diplomatic issues taking place. But Southeast Asia, as well as a lot of these emerging markets are actually they're big users of this game. So it's roughly about $15 billion in size.
Oh, wow.
The average revenue per user is about $700. So it's actually quite significant.
And what are they spending this money on? Is it on skins? Is it on trading accounts? Is it trading weapons? Is it trading things, or is it just buying items to make your account and gameplay stronger with upgrades and things like that, or is it all of it?
Yeah, it's all of it. So and actually this is basically that's what the business that the founder of Bitom was doing before. He was a major computer gamer, and he started selling items and his own accounts online, and then he realized, wow, there's a market for this. He made this website where people could trade items, and so it was called IMI, Item Mania. And he sold it to Goldman Sachs. And then after he exited, then that's when this Bitcoin thing started coming into Korea, and he realized, oh, okay, so there's people that are interested in it. Maybe I should
wait. So how long ago is this now? How many years ago is this?
So that's about 2012, 2013.
So you're telling me all of this has happened pre-Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin came onto the market?
Yeah.
The Bitcoin adoption and discovery started happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, all of these, games were already being traded, in marketplace. Game items were being traded in marketplaces way before Bitcoin or
Steam, Discord, all these platforms.
Yeah, the biggest problem was that many times there were issues of scamming, in which somebody would tell you, oh, I'll send you my I'll sell you my account in this game, and then they would receive the money but not give it. There were a lot of scam. It was really risky to do any kind of trades in these games. And so for that, now that these items can be held, inside a wallet, and the player can have ownership of it. They can easily trade things, and make it more, facilitate, the exchange of items in the games.
So how many so Burrito Wallet was created to capture all of that? Tell us that story. So is Burrito Wallet connected to a separate platform? Is it an API for all gaming platforms? Are people mainly trading through cryptocurrencies, or people loading fiat currency onto it as well? Tell us about those sorts of interactions.
Okay, so basically Burrito Wallet is a subsidiary of Bitom, which is a cryptocurrency exchange. So what happens is that in Korea, now that there's a travel rule, whenever a user at a cryptocurrency exchange wants to move their assets, they need to whitelist their external wallet, and then get approved by the exchange so that they can move their assets. With Burrito Wallet, a lot of these users that have already gone through the KYC by registering at Bitom, they don't have to do an additional KYC. So basically, this becomes the gateway to all of these decentralized applications, not only for trading tokens on decentralized exchanges, or doing staking or DeFi, but then also to be able to access all of these Web3 games, as well as other Web3 applications and social media platforms.
So how many users of Bitom today, and how many users of Burrito Wallet today?
So basically, there's about 8 million registered users at Bitom. And then our wallet, we just launched 3 months ago. We haven't done any marketing yet because we're still, doing the real the testing and seeing that the system is stable. But somehow, and also we're planning to do the real opening once we release the iOS version. But still, we've managed to gain 20,000 users just like that. So it's actually been quite good.
And is this a global audience or a regional audience? Again, because adoption seems to be very massive in Korea itself.
Yeah. So basically, right now we're just starting off with targeting at the users of Bitom because they're the easiest to target for us at the moment. But yeah, I mean, we do plan to make it global.
So walk me through the benefits today for the users that are there. Is it any Web3 gaming company can be connected to the Burrito Wallet effectively through an API call, or is it something where you have to onboard those relationships for those gaming platforms on Web3?
Any user can simply just navigate through a decentralized application, and as long as there's a wallet connect that they can connect to this decentralized application. But if the decentralized application wants to come to us and promote their platform to our users, we do provide way for them to be able to make announcements like banners, as well as do some sort of marketing to gather users, like say airdrops, as well as announcements through our communications channels, as well as Bitom's communications channels. So it's also a powerful tool for the decentralized applications to promote their platform and gain users.
So building a product for the Web3 space or the metaverse is a tricky thing to navigate, as we've discovered, right? There's a very high adoption, but there's also a very high rejection, and there's also a very high competitor space, because visibility is extremely high, capability sets also very high in reproducing frameworks, product roadmap. So what's interesting to understand is when you're designing a product roadmap, how much are you building internally and how much are you engaging the community, asking them what they want?
Well, so basically what we're doing right now is focusing on the basics for the user. Although one of the biggest challenges that a lot of users had with existing Web3 wallets was that it wasn't very tailored for the Korean user. Like with MetaMask, whenever you're trying to add other chains, you have to do it very mechanically. And also something that's really key in Korea is that you gotta have customer service. Like you can't just have one bot on Twitter doing auto replies, or So every time a user has any questions or any issues, you gotta have somebody to attend them and explain them and walk them through it. So that's something that we're offering for our users here in Korea, especially since because before the travel rule adoption, like Korea was very enclosed in. Users couldn't travel to the Web3. They couldn't test the Web3. So Korea kind of fell behind about 2 years in terms of that Web3 trend. While the government was coming up with a clear travel rule regulation. So that's why we have to offer more personalized service for a customized service for Korean users.
Thanks so much, Andrew. I think it's very interesting. I mean, at some point, we'll probably get into a complete gaming podcast session with you to understand that bridge between what is becoming one of the hubs of the metaverse and Web3, which is here in the UAE for gaming and the Middle East as well as KSA. But before we get into our next podcast, Jee, I have to ask you the same questions that I've asked Andrew, adoption and origination in your space, AI, which you've become very wrapped up in Korea. Can you tell us about adoption of local technology or export of local technology? Can you take us through what's happening on the landscape for AI over there right now? What's the current status?
So the big hole that I see right now is that there's a lot of things happening in South Korea, but no one is talking about it. And South Korean legacy media companies are coming out with their English versions, but they're not, of course, they're translations of their original stories. So it doesn't really make sense to a lot of the people reading outside of South Korea because there's no context. And even if the grammar is right, the style of the writing is not that interesting. For example, yesterday and Wednesday, the EU lawmakers passed a law in regards to AI ethics. And that was the same day the South Korean ministry in regards to tech, they also passed a law to restrict some of the use cases of AI, but there's only one news article in English. So I feel like there is so much happening in South Korea and people don't know. And there's also that language barrier when South Korean companies try to launch a product, or when a foreign company is trying to launch a product in Korean. I think between European languages, maybe they translate better. But when they try to use like a simple Google Translate to explain their services in Korean, it just doesn't make sense. And it's not that relatable. For example, if I look at a foreign, like maybe an exchange in China, they try to push out a product in Korean. When Korean people read it, it just doesn't make any sense. So that's a kind of hurdle that a lot of Korean companies also face. And that's why I think my editing services have been really, really popular, because it taps into the niche market. There are so many Korean companies trying to, get into the Singaporean market, or they try to reach the Indian audience, they try to reach the audience in China, but it just doesn't make sense in English. So, but now I'm trying to go beyond that and try to provide services that explain about the AI ecosystem in South Korea to the global audience.
Do you think as a result of that, the adoption of AI within South Korea will be from what they import as opposed to what they can export?
That's a really interesting question. I think the biggest question with AI adoption has to do with the language core. So when they go through the natural language processing, they need a lot of data set, right? And who has the most data in the Korean language? Again, we go back to the case of Naver, and I don't think they're going to give up their language corp to, Google or Microsoft to deal with. So yeah, so that's interesting as to like who is going to, conquer the Korean AI ecosystem, especially when it comes to natural language processing with the limit of data that they have outside of South Korea.
So you think that given the language barrier is almost an excellent moat for them to take their time to build out and service their local market?
Right, I think so. I mean, I want to ask Andrew actually, because I think his Korean could be a little bit better than mine. Have you ever worked with the ChatGPT in Korean version?
It's actually decent, it does decent translations, but it sounds a little bit weird every once in a while, but I mean, it's definitely better than Google Translate.
Are you using Bard? Have you tried using Bard as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was decent. I mean, I haven't done translations with Bard yet, but I would say the type of content and results were similar to ChatGPT for what I use it for. But to add up something that Jee was mentioning is that there's a really big cultural gap between, so like Korea is sort of very isolated. Like we have our own unique culture and way of doing business. And so, this happens, for both sides. Like a lot of global companies come in and, they try to implement, the same, global strategies. It turns out that it doesn't fit, the culture or the, local practices. And so they fail badly. They come in and they try to change, like say, delivery companies, for example, a lot of in their early stages, at first they try to come in and implement the practice of charging price times distance. But something about Korea is that since delivery service was implemented way ahead of time, when internet was first started to get adopted. So, there's this price metrics that, considers, which areas have payload and which areas don't. And so, the areas where, a delivery guy delivers something and then, doesn't get any new orders for the area where he came from, that, in those areas, they have to pay extras. Whereas, these foreign platforms, ignore completely that. And they were like, oh, we want to, bring in, global good practices when, it's not that efficient here because it's, the industry practice is different. And it's the same thing for Korean companies going overseas. We have certain set of standards, like, for example, whenever we're doing business deals here in Korea, there's this concept of there's this, hierarchy, which is, called cap and ul, which means, the one that has the leverage and one that doesn't. And so basically, a lot of times the contracts, the agreements, between Korean companies end up being very, one-sided. And so a lot of these companies that don't have that much experience doing business globally, whenever they go outside and try to make, a partnership overseas, they don't understand that, a lot of these transactions should be, like arm's distance instead of, hierarchical. So there's this, cultural gaps.
Very interesting. What you're saying reminds me of an older version of the UAE or parts of this region where businesses, technology businesses, or used to come and enter this market with a huge cultural gap, thinking that they could replicate Eastern or Western practices of business in technology or in anything, actually corporate lifestyle, and implement it here in this region. Didn't go down too well for the longest time, but what they found was they invested a lot of time and resource in being local and being regional. And it's paid off a lot. And in that sense, at the same time, there's been an evolution of business practices and growth in this region, so much so that they've also adopted best practices from the East and West as well at the same time. So it's been a very holistic growth where those conversations don't play anymore. It used to be the case. Very much of what you were saying used to be like that in this region. It's no longer the case now. I wonder, do you think that at some point you'll see the same thing, where you'll see the adoption of practices from other corporate interactions globally in the region, or you'll see people investing their practices in country more, where the gap will close out, or you think it will remain the same always?
Should I go ahead, Andrew?
Go ahead.
Please, yeah, there we go.
Well, the thing is, I think the Middle East has the advantage of speaking the same language, even though in different dialects in many different countries. I think Northeast Asia doesn't have that kind of advantage. China is speaking like an entirely different language, and the Korean and Japanese a little bit more similar when it comes to grammatical structure, but I think also culturally very different markets. So it's more segmented this way. So I'm not sure if there is that much advantage when it comes to like what I'm looking at, which is a natural language processing. So, and also sentiment-wise, I think it's a little bit different in what people want. So if I were to go back to the delivery service example that Andrew mentioned, usually in the States, when a delivery person comes, they have to drop off everything at the concierge. The concierge keeps everything safe, and then everyone signs their own parcel and go back to their apartment. But in Korea, no delivery service will leave anything at the concierge unless they have to by the security guards, because actually it's kind of unthinkable in South Korea that something will get stolen if it's delivered to your door. So the people would rather prefer things get delivered to their doorsteps as opposed to going to the concierge and picking up their stuff. What they care more about is like how fast it gets delivered and the tracking code, because they can see like real time how, when it's getting delivered. And you can actually even message your delivery man as it's happening to ask them like, hey, when is it getting delivered and stuff. And some of it is very warm, because I think South Korean people tend to be pretty warm compared to other cultures that I have, other places that I've lived in. Like they will leave out little treats for the delivery person as their pick-me-up, like little like yogurt drinks or little like chocolates, or
that's very cool.
Yeah, and the delivery person would say like, oh yay, hey, like I don't know, like thanks for that. Like you can send like personalized messages to each other. So that's a kind of different kind of sentiment that you have to learn about each different like Northeast Asian countries, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. Andrew, you were saying.
Well, I think, so the companies, the foreign companies that do adapt to Korean ways of doing business, they actually end up doing well. I think, for example, Mercedes-Benz, sells more S-classes in Korea than in entire Europe. It's one of the best sellers here in Korea.
Wow, I had no idea. That's impressive.
So what's amazing is that there's actually more here than in Dubai.
No.
It's quite interesting. So yeah, I mean, so
it's the optics. Oh my goodness.
There must be more G-Wagons here, though. You can't even, I don't think per capita, even South Korea can compete with Dubai and the UAE on the number of G-Wagons.
Okay,
Koreans
you
will not
definitely
be
got
able to
that.
afford it.
G-Wagons, there's more over there.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely, but that's super interesting, that you hear that, certain markets where suppliers or manufacturers really tune into the local culture, it pays off massively, right? Because
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
a reciprocation of understanding that goes both ways. Then this is also part of product build and service build, is listening to your customer, knowing your customer, right? Adoption happens, whether it's digital in Web3 or whether it's a manufacturer like Mercedes. And it's super interesting to hear about the export of what is extremely cutting edge technology being hampered by things as simple as, or what seems as simple as language today. So both Andrew and Jee, thank you so much for sharing your insights on those journeys. I'm sure our listeners will be more curious and hungry to explore in real life as well as online, in terms of what's happening in the space when it comes to Web3 and AI in South Korea. So I really appreciate that. On that note, I'm going to return back to my co-host, the man himself, Ronit. Thanks, brother.
One last question to wrap up. I'd like to make you guys give a forward-looking prediction. So it's career focused. So Andrew, you can limit it to crypto, blockchain, Web3, or any technology, and ditto Jee, AI or anything. What's the one thing that you think comes out of Korea, or is already there in Korea, but may come out in the next 12, 18 months, that we're all going to be, we're all going to be into the technology related, whether it's the metaverse, whether it's something social, maybe it's, I don't know,
The Galaxy
Tara's
S24.
future K-pop girls, I don't know. It's like,
I think the one that's gonna come out the fastest is gonna be the Galaxy S24, but something that's projected by 2028, if I'm not wrong, is gonna be 6G.
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 Yeah.
6G is coming. So much for your Gaurav, you got the G-Wagon in Dubai. Andrew's gonna have 6G in Korea.
My concern is my G-Wagon gonna have 6G by the time I get a G-Wagon? And thank
Korean
you, Ronit.
it will do.
Thank you, Ronit.
Well, basically, that's the reason why they're
G-Wagon.
rolling out 6G, so that it can support all of these intercommunication between machines, and so you can support your self-driving technology, as well as have your house connected to your device, all of these things, as well as support better metaverses.
Yeah.
I think being too connected is something we should be worried about.
6G
Ted Kaczynski is gone, but that manifesto.
6G wagon. And Jee, you get the last word.
What is the time frame again? That's important.
What you guys already, it's already there in Korea, is coming in the next few years. That's going to have a global impact. That's going to basically be a precursor of what we're doing in other parts of the world. So not just going to impact Korea, but we're all going to be, like we all got into, K-drama, K-pop, K that. I mean, Samsung, as Andrew reminded us earlier.
I want to say maybe urban air mobility.
Okay, expand that.
Because I know South Korean government recently, did it select already, or is it in the process of selecting a bunch of companies that will build urban air taxis or air taxi platforms in South Korea?
Yeah.
So if that happens, that would be really interesting to see coming out of South Korea, because like you mentioned, there is that transportation craze, and also a lot of the car manufacturers. So they'll be really interested in seeing like what they can do with that. So
yeah.
Like, do you mean drones? So this is for people?
No, it's actually for
Andrew, are we getting flying cars? Like,
yeah, this is for people.
This is like
Yeah.
Korean Jetsons.
Yeah,
It's
it's
more-
for people.
Yeah, it's called UAM, which stands for Urban Air Mobility. And
Right.
I think Seoul is pretty bullish on that. Paris also, and has to be somewhere in the Middle East that's also
Dubai
interested.
has displayed it quite a lot.
So
Right?
it's
Yeah.
Guys, you were at
2025.
GITEX last year, right?
Displayed, it's displayed. They've done a few demos and things with no people in it, but no one's done manned vehicles. Even in south of India, by the way, there's a startup that's done it out there that's just got their civil aviation license. It's
That
making
demo was
new.
like, it went up and down.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see who the first test pilots are. That's what I want to grab my popcorn and see who takes those flights up in an electric fan.
We've been promised flying cars, right? I mean, in the
So I
1970s,
think we're gonna.
their predictions of the 2020s was we'd have flying cars by now, and we're
Mm.
messing
So,
around
you
with like
know,
go to space
non-custodial
from it.
wallets and stuff like that. I mean, come on, Andrew, invent a flying car company.
It's safer to go to space, Ron. It's safer to go to space right now than
So
it is to go up there
2025,
flying
that's
Imagine
when
Dubai,
it's supposed to
like
roll
Sheikh
out.
Zayed Road, all our Peshwari friends zooming along in flying cars. Oh my God. Calling,
And
paging
we're also
RTA,
supposed.
paging RTA.
We're also supposed to have hydrogen vehicles rolling out by 2025 as well. We're basically implementing this whole fueling infrastructure for hydrogen vehicles
Right.
and green hydrogen factories. So these are the things that should be coming out. Hopefully, making an impact elsewhere as well.
Well, so we now know what we're going to look out for. We're going to look out for flying cars or urban mobility, next generation urban mobility,
Flying G-Wagon.
flying 6G enabled flying G-Wagon. That's the strap
Oh,
line.
wow.
That's the strap
Wow.
line. So
Wow.
6G is coming out of Korea, flying cars.
You heard it here first on this podcast, listeners. Coming to you soon from South Korea, flying 6G G-Wagons.
6G enabled G-Wagons.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Right.
There we are. Look forward to it. Look forward to it. I'll be queuing up next to you, Gaurav, to help you buy the car.
You're on.
Moral support only, no financial support. You can buy the car.
Come on.
I'll ride next to you or in the back seat. Do they have airbags? Hopefully parachutes. Anyways, on that note, let's draw this podcast to a close. We're well over time. Our friends who will soon both be in real life friends. It's very late for them. They're recording this at like some super late time. Really appreciate your flexibility, Jee and Andrew, for doing this. And I know you've got an early flight to catch tomorrow, Andrew. So thank you so much again. And also big thanks to your daughter for letting you do this.
Thanks.
Thank you all
We'll
much.
give her a credit in the
Yes, we should.
That'd be so cool. Yeah.
Great talking to you guys, and let's do it again on the Metaverse.
Absolutely.
You got it.
Zepeto, whatever.